Hi there, my name's Anna Muse and I'm a personal stylist and image consultant. I am going to take you through some of the theory of colour analysis in this short video today, which I hope you'll enjoy. I'm really passionate about colour, about understanding what colours work for us when we wear them, how to combine them, and just generally adding more colour to our outfits, whatever the occasion. The first thing I'm going to do is take you through how colour analysis works and the 6 dominant colour categories so that you can identify which category you fall into. Once we've done that, I'm going to briefly take you through the key colours that you might want to be looking out for this season and possibly a couple of tips for how you might want to incorporate them on a daily basis. So colour analysis is based on the Munsell Theory, which looks at the depth, undertone and clarity of colour. It basically analyses where your colour characteristics, that's your skin tone, your hair colour and your eye colour, where they sit on the spectrum of light to deep, warm to cool and clear to soft, and what that means in terms of which colours will work for you and balance and harmonise with your colour characteristics. For me, colour analysis is so interesting and so transformational. I think we've probably all done it where we might put something on that maybe we've seen on somebody else or we've just picked up in a shop, and it just drains all of the colour out of us, even though it might look great on someone we know. That would be because the colour isn't harmonising with your colour characteristics. Equally, I'm sure there are things that you have in your wardrobe that you put on and get lots of compliments on, maybe people saying how good you look or have you been on holiday. That's because the colour is working really well for you. When we get our colours right, people notice us first and what we're wearing second. And for me, that's always the way it should be. I want people to notice the individual and look at them before they notice anything else about them. And that's when we know that we've really got the balance of colours right. There are 6 dominant colour categories, and the one that you fall into will be determined by your key colour characteristics. So like I mentioned earlier, your skin tone, your hair colour and your eye colour. So I'm going to take you through those 6 categories now. The first is our light colour category. You will fall into the light category if you have a fair skin tone, naturally fair hair and light eyelashes and eyebrows. If you're in the light category, light delicate colours work really well for you. We're talking about when you wear them on the top half right next to your face. So what you wear from the waist down doesn't really have a bearing, although what I would say for any of the colour categories is if you work with colours that look best on you on the top half throughout your whole look, it generally gives a much more cohesive feel, and that's all the way down to footwear. So lights, for example, don't have any black in their palette. It doesn't look so good on the top half, but maybe on the bottom half you would go for shades like charcoal or pewter or navy. And footwear options, there's loads now, so tan colours or shades of grey again work really beautifully with those lighter shades that are going to work best for you. So you can wear 2 light colours together or a light and a darker colour together. So if you are wearing a darker colour, then putting something lighter with it next to your face works really well. So if it's a darker jacket, having a lighter top underneath or shirt, and if you're wearing a light shirt, then you can do like a dark tie, for example. Ladies, if you've got a light top on and you want to maybe wear a scarf or a cardigan or something, that also works really well. The only thing I would say to avoid doing if you fall into the lighter category is wearing one very dark colour on its own, so something like black or just anything that's quite heavy on its own next to your face isn't going to work so well. So always think about bringing that element of lightness into whatever it is you're wearing next to your face. Our next category is deep. So if you have a medium depth skin tone all the way through to black and sort of every shade in between those two, dark hair, dark eyebrows, dark eyes, so your features will be quite dark and deep, then you'll fall into the deep category most likely. It is a medium depth skin tone, not a fair skin tone. So there may be a category coming up. If you've got dark hair but a fairer skin tone, then keep watching. If you fall into the deep category, then dark, rich colours work beautifully for you. You can wear black on its own if you choose to, and other wine tones, dark greens, dark reds, or quite bright colours will also work well for you because you have the depth of colouring to really pull off some quite strong shades. So don't be afraid of some of the bolder colours that you see particularly in the shops at the moment, there's some really quite bright reds and vivid shades. You can definitely carry those off with your colour characteristics. You're pretty much the opposite colour characteristics to a light, so the opposite guidelines apply. So you can wear a dark colour on its own, you can do contrasting colours, but I would definitely avoid pale pastel colours on the top half on their own. And again, try and keep that depth of colour throughout your outfit with accessories, footwear and jackets and coats and bags and things as well. Make it really lovely dark rich tones, and if you want to add some vibrancy, go for quite bright colours rather than necessarily wearing light colours on their own. Our next category is warm. So if you have warm tones to your hair, be that naturally or if you've had lots of warmth put into your hair, maybe highlighted or dyed. If you've got quite a fair complexion, it may have freckles, that sort of English rose complexion, and then your eyes are possibly going to be green or brown or maybe blue, then it's likely you're going to fall into the warm colour category. Warms look great in yellow-based colours and usually colours of a medium depth, so you really want to think about keeping those colour tones in the middle of the colour palette. So we don't want to go very, very dark and heavy, so again, black isn't in your colour palette and isn't ideal worn on the top half, but also you don't want to go very light, so keep it medium depth, so softer reds, oranges, yellows, greens, khakis, those kind of colours are all going to work beautifully for you. A great alternative to black for you is chocolate brown, or you could do pewter, but I would definitely say to keep that element of warmth in everything that you're wearing, particularly on the top half. And when it comes to jewellery, if you fall into the warm category, then generally warmer metals will work for you, so think gold and rose gold as opposed to silver tones. Our next category is cool. So if you have grey tones to your hair, you might be salt and pepper, you might be very white, it could be that you're platinum blonde or have lots of ashy blonde tones for your hair, or you might have very jet black, black blue hair, a pinkish tone to your skin usually, and then eyes are maybe grey or blue, then it's most likely you'll fall into the cool category. So cools look great in blue based colours, so that would be anything, any kind of blue usually works really well. You can do lighter colours like icy violet, pale pinks, worn in contrast, so black, charcoal, navy, they're all in your palette, and worn in contrast they work beautifully for you. Silver tones are also great. You're best avoiding reds and anything too orangey or yellow, but plummy shades and pinks like cassis and fuchsia also work really beautifully for you. Teals worn with cassis and possibly grey are also a great combination for you. I would avoid wearing just lighter colours on their own if you fall into the cool category, because they'll tend to wash you out a little bit. So do remember to have some contrast, and some crisp, nice, strong colours will all be really powerful and look great on you. If you have dark hair and quite a fair complexion, and then maybe eyes that are blue or green or hazel or just quite bright, then it's likely you'll fall into the clear dominant colour category. Clears naturally have a lot of contrast in their colouring with their fair skin and dark hair, so you need to reflect that in the colours you wear. That means that if you're wearing a darker colour, again black is in your palette, but you don't want to wear that on its own or any dark colour on its own next to your face. So think about contrasting. So if you're wearing a black jacket, for example, contrast that with a lighter or brighter shade. You could do that with a tie, a scarf, a cardigan and a different coloured top, or some kind of jewellery or accessory. Ladies, you could also do that with your makeup. So if you're wearing a darker shade, you could add a brighter pop of colour maybe on your lips, or just with a pair of earrings or something works really beautifully. So you can do contrasting colours. Don't wear anything dark on its own or light on its own, so always add in that touch of contrast. And if you are going to do one colour, make it quite a vibrant shade, so something that's really quite punchy, for example a bright red, a bright green, or a bright blue. Especially if you've got blue eyes, blues will really bring them out beautifully. Our final dominant category is soft. So if you've seen elements of your colour characteristics in the previous 5 categories but don't feel like you quite fit in any one of them particularly, then soft is possibly the place where you need to be. If you have medium depth skin tone, eyes could be any colour, so they may be green, brown, they might change colour slightly between green and blue, for example, when you wear different colours. They might be slightly grey. and then your hair will be a medium depth, probably brown, and highlighted or low lighted. Or if you've gone bald and you haven't got any hair anymore, then you'll probably fall into the soft category as well. So if you fall into this category, the buzzwords are medium depth. So you don't want to go to any extremes with your colours. Your look is quite muted and tonal, so you need to reflect that in the colours that you wear. So as opposed to black, I'd be advising going for charcoal, navy or pewter, or even like a chocolate brown as a really good versatile colour for suits, jackets and bottom halves. And then with your accent colours, so with the other colours that you might like to add in, I would advise going for pretty much any shade you like, but keeping it soft. So if you want to do a red, go for a more muted red rather than anything very punchy like the red that I've got on. Your blues, go for like a light navy rather than a very dark navy. Greens, again, medium depth. You can go darker, but if you do a dark colour, you just want to put something 1 or 2 shades lighter on the top half with it to balance it out and bring it back into that medium depth. So if you're going to do something light, pop something a bit darker with it to balance it out, and vice versa. And that way you're really harmonising your colour characteristics. So I hope that that run through of the dominant colour categories has given you an idea of some of the colours you might like to try moving forwards. There are always different colour trends for each season, and for autumn-winter 2018 there's actually lots to choose from that will work for pretty much any colour category. The key colour stories for this season are browns, blues, reds and yellows. So I'm just very briefly going to take you through who the colour stories will work for and how you might wish to wear them depending on which category you fall into. If you fall into the clear category, then you want to do your browns with some contrast, so try them with like a bright blue or a lighter colour, so even just a soft white with your browns, or you can wear them on their own, but possibly just think about adding some contrast in another way. So maybe a brown jacket, for example, with something brighter underneath, or you could do a brown skirt again or trousers and then just add an accent colour on the top half. And if you're a soft, then a medium depth brown will work really beautifully for you. So think about like a cocoa colour on the top half, be really nice as an alternative to some of the dark neutrals that we often gravitate towards, like navy and black. The blues that are in the shops this season tend to be more lighter blues at the moment, medium depth to light blues. They're quite bright and punchy. So if you fall into the cool, deep or clear category, then definitely try the bright punchy blues that are out there. They're almost like a periwinkle purpley blue that's really in fashion this season. So you're likely to find that. It works beautifully with the browns that I just mentioned. So something to try, you can combine the two colours. And softs also could try the periwinkle purpley blues as well. They work really nicely with the lighter browns and the charcoals and sort of medium depth greys that will give you that medium depth colour and still a really lovely neutral palette to work from, but just a slightly different shade to add in on a day-to-day basis. Everybody can wear red, it just needs to be the right shade of red. Lights are probably the ones who are going to find red the trickiest to wear, but if you're light or soft, a bright punchy red won't work so well, so go for something that's more of a geranium red, so a softer red, and think about your fabrics. A softer fabric or a matte fabric will lessen the intensity of colour, so if you feel you fall into the light or soft category and you want to try red, try it on a matte fabric and that will help to harmonise that with the colour characteristics on your top half. If you fall into the clear or the deep categories, you can really do a quite bright punchy red and you can wear that on its own if you want to. So you don't need to combine it with any other colour, you can just go for it and wear red without anything else. Warms generally look fabulous in red. It's a complete myth that redheads can't wear red. They absolutely can. Think of the rust reds, terracottas. You can go more orangey with your reds as well. Really have a field day with them. They're going to work beautifully for you and definitely something to try at this time of year when there are so many choices of red in the shops. If you fall into the cool category, I would just have a bit of a watch out. It's very easy to get too yellow or red, if that makes sense. You need to go for more of a blue red. So Think about those reds that are almost a little bit purpley pinky in tone and opt for them. And the final colour trend, yellow. If you're warm, then this is one of the colours that you can absolutely wear. So go to town, try different shades, experiment with it, combine it with your greens, your browns, your charcoals, just have lots of fun. For everyone else who isn't sure whether they have a warm or a cool undertone, just experiment and see how it works. It could be that you fall into one of the other dominant categories, but you still have a warm undertone, which means that certain shades of yellow will work for you. The only way to know is to experiment with them. Have them next to your face in natural daylight and just see what they do to the overall colour of your skin. If you have a warm undertone, yellows will make you glow. If you don't, then they're going to wash you out of it. I do hope that short video on colour analysis and some of the key colours to look for this season has inspired you to try something new colour-wise. If you have any questions at all, do feel free to look me up on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and my tags are below. Or you can drop me an email at anna@annamuse.com. I predominantly work out of my studio near Leeds. However, I do Skype consultations where I can take you through your colours in a little more depth. And I also have an online membership site as well, which you would be very welcome to join, with a month's free access to give you a bit of a taste of what we share and what we do within the Style Lounge. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all very soon.